I have waited years to tell this story. That was one of the worst days of my life. Oh my god. Katy Perry is finally making headlines for all the wrong reasons, and I got my popcorn for this one because... So in 2019, Katy Perry was the reason that I did not make it any further than the original audition on American Idol. And I've been trying to understand it ever since. It wasn't getting kicked off the show by my idol and the person that I really wanted to be like and wanted to always meet that haunted me. What haunted me was this stare. This is coming off the heels of last week's video where I exposed the inner workings of a shady Sony music deal that I walked away from, and if you want to check that out, it's over here. It resonated so much with you guys, and in case you've completely missed all of this Katy Perry drama, let's recap. She went to Vegas, she went to space, she came back from space, she wants to go back to Vegas, but it's too late. It was my understanding that when you do the whole Vegas show thing, you're supposed to make Vegas like the last stop on the train, you know? Her tour is flopping. Overall, it just seems like she's totally phoning it in. She's in these super intense real estate battles. She's super out of touch.
It's an ambitious April. Launch after launch after launch. And look at these nails. I'm a bit cyborgy.
And doesn't seem to have any inkling of soon becoming in touch. Which is a huge shame because she was so fun and so inspiring and the biggest pop star of all time and the reason I wanted to become a pop star in the first place. But it was a simpler time. Also been a lot of controversy about her working with Dr. Luke, which I'm not gonna get into at this time, but there is plenty of content out there about it. And even on her tour, performing Women's World, she only has male backup dancers, and they just keep doing this, like, pelvic attention dance. Like, who choreographed this? The whole thing just seems really thrown together. It's giving rehearsal vibes. Why is this happening? She was the biggest pop star of all time. Teenage Dream was an award-winning album. She was the first female pop star to have 5 #1 hit singles off the same record. The first one was Michael Jackson. Oh, and she's evil. It all started back in 2019. I was approached by some executive producers who came up to me after a sold-out showcase in Los Angeles where I frequently performed my original music, built a little bit of a following in the local scene. I was performing and singing about 3 or 4 nights a week, but once in a while I would do a bigger showcase with a band, invite the labels, invite all the fellow artists around there, and oftentimes I would sell out the night, and it was one of the most fun moments in my life being able to perform all the time. So one night after one of these shows, I got approached by 2 young women who were really enthusiastic. They said, "We love you, we want you on our show." And I said, "What show?" And they said, "American Idol." And they kind of even said it like that, "American Idol." And I was like, this isn't for me, you know? I'm not trying to get some break on some TV show. It's just making people line up for hours and hours. It's just not my thing. That's not what I want to do. And they said, no, we'll make sure you get in front of the judges. You're so good, you're so established. We'll make sure you get in front of Katy Perry and Lionel Richie and Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan?
You should be singing here because you love music.
And I was like, okay. I don't know how they convinced me to do it, but I did get convinced. Katy Perry. She inspired me to go for the pop star thing. She was the first pop star that I saw that had an equal balance of the style and the pop star X factor and a sense of humor. And I'm obviously, like, I think I'm funny. I love comedy and music, so it was just really inspiring to see someone like that to balance it so well. And I watched her documentary when I was 18 years old, and I said, you know what? I was crying at the end of it going, you know what? She did it, I can do it too. I was so inspired, and I invested 10 years, 11 years of my life in the music industry, and I think I got pretty far as an independent artist. First thing Katy said to me was, Jazzy. The American Idol producers listened to all the songs that I brought in, the original songs, and they selected a specific one. And that wasn't going to be the one that I would have chosen if it were up to me, but they told me to pick that one. So the whole thing's manufactured. It's so fake. Another really weird thing about it was Lionel Richie and Luke Bryan didn't say their yes or no until she did. So it's almost like she was in charge of who goes to the next round at that level of the audition. But for the most part, they just need content. They need content of people being rejected, of people getting their dreams crushed on live television. After she said Jazzy, she said, I don't think you have the singing voice to make it in a singing competition. And then Lionel and Luke made their commentary, and then they said, well, let's just let Katy, you know, make her decision. And she said, it's a no from me. It was for the first time I actually sensed darkness. I sensed darkness around her, and it was disturbing. She seemed to enjoy watching me get crushed, and then a camera being shoved in my face afterwards to ask me if I really did my best in there. That was one of the worst days of my life. Oh my God. And this was kind of before I started to go down the rabbit hole of the creepy people running Hollywood, the literal vampires that run the industry, you know? If you want me to do a video on that, I will. I had a lot of time in 2020, so I did a lot of research. And then I also had 2 friends that were employees of the show. They were production assistants, and they said, dude, Chandler, we wanted to wait till after your audition was done to tell you this, but Katy Perry is the worst. She's awful. She's mean. She was late that day. Okay, another thing is I arrived at 5 a.m. My call time was 5 a.m. and I didn't audition till 8 p.m. that night. And again, they don't provide food. I don't even think they provided water, and they don't pay you. And you can have people come in and out, but you can't leave the building. So that was weird too. So I was like nervous all day, obviously, deprived of food and water and sunshine, and finally auditioned at 8 p.m. But the reason that it started so late is because Katy Perry was late that day. I think she was pregnant at the time too. Now we arrive, 2025, and the world has finally caught up to the fact that Katy Perry isn't just annoying, she's annoying and evil. So now I don't have to feel like a crazy person anymore, which is how I felt for the last 6 years trying to figure it out after she crushed my dreams of being a pop star after being begged to be on the show multiple times. But now I'm feeling vindicated. So maybe I am unhinged and unhealed, Katy, but some of the damage was done by you, personally. Oh! The other day, I was at this cool screening of the Xenon movie where I met the writer of Xenon, and there was a Q&A afterwards. It was just like such a cool LA night, and I will definitely be doing a video on that because I learned so much about how the movie industry worked back then on Disney Channel, and I think I have a hypothesis on why movies suck now, so stay tuned for that video. But I met someone who I had seen, who looked familiar to me because I'd seen him around the circles in the music industry, in the music scene in LA. And
this is some more tea
about Miss KP. And I don't know if you guys have seen the meme where they say Katy Perry was not the first pop star to go in space. It was Protozoa from Xenon. I'd seen that meme a bunch. And after the screening, I talked to this guy who turned out to be a backup singer for Katy Perry, a former backup singer. I think I said, oh, you look familiar. And he goes, oh yeah, I'm in the scene. And I said, oh, cool. Like, yeah, I think that we're both in the singer-songwriter scene in LA. He goes, oh yeah, I'm mostly a backup singer. And I said, oh, anyone I know? And he goes, maybe, you know, it's related to the movie we saw tonight. And I said, no way. Protozoa. And he goes, mm-hmm. Protozoa. And I went, no way. Tell me everything you know because I already met her and she's horrible. And he's like, dude, she's completely out of touch. No one's honest with her on her team. And the people who try to be honest with her, she rejects. Her whole persona was stolen from Bonnie McKee. He was not afraid to spill the tea on this woman, let me tell you. And now that it's been a long time and she can't repeat that success. So now she's tried a few different things. The ethereal thing with Prismatic, and the weird eye demonic thing with Witness and Swish Swish and all that. That was just so out of left field in my opinion, and I was a stan, so I was very confused by that whole record and that whole choice. So now she goes back to the same approach as before, but times have changed and the culture has changed dramatically since Teenage Dream, and that's why the old approach is not working. He also shared that every time she walks into a room, her entire team, crew, everyone who works for her is required to stand up when she walks into a room. I think he said they have to clap too, which that's just gotta mess with your head. So while I can understand why someone can psychologically become so out of touch, that doesn't make it okay.
Not okay.
He also shared with me that she walked up to him and asked him, "So what do you think of the new record?" And he goes, "It's different." And she goes, "Okay, well, it's not for you," and then walked away. So the people who do try to be honest with her, it just doesn't get through. He never posted about being a backup singer for her tour on his Instagram, and some of the team, the management team of Katy Perry's, asked him, why don't you post the fact that you're a backup singer for Katy Perry on your Instagram?" He goes, "I signed an NDA." He was embarrassed. He resigned. He's no longer a backup singer for her because he just didn't want to go down with the ship, I guess. But how did we get here? How did the most beloved pop star of the 2010s become such a hated figure so quickly? She's just become a meme of herself. She tried to change it up and it wouldn't connect, so now she's just going back to stereotypical, cartoony Katy Perry, which is probably where she will forever reside. I don't know why she didn't like me and wanted to reject me. It could be that I don't have a singing voice to make it in a singing competition, but I never thought American Idol was a singing competition. I thought it was like an idol pop star persona competition, which, I mean, I think I got at least something. I got approached by the executive producers. The whole thing was so f***ed up. I can't speculate. I'll never know what went through that woman's head.
You should be singing here because you love music.
It took me a while to recover from the American Idol debacle. Felt like a bait and switch, and the entire industry started to feel like a bait and switch. I had to take a long time away from music to heal from these experiences, and I focused on comedy in the meantime. And now I'm putting my music out that I made last year with this awesome producer, and I wrote 10 songs, 11 songs, and I'm having to face all this trauma step by step, and it has not been easy because there's so much to get off my chest and out of my system. But as long as you guys are listening, I am so happy to share and warn. Take from it what you can. Take the lesson from someone who's gone through it and empower yourselves with it so you don't have to be burned like I was. And you can finally just rest easy knowing that you don't need these other people to make it. You just gotta invest in yourself. Corporations are crumbling, and becoming an indie that is nothing without them, that's going away. It's time to build now and invest in yourself, and that's what I'm here to empower you to do. But you might be able to hear some of the songs and the sketches and videos if you listen carefully while I figure out how I'm gonna market it this time, so I don't repeat the same mistakes I did. And also, the industry has changed so much. I did my own PR campaigns, my own marketing campaigns for years, and it really got me a lot of Spotify success, but things have changed as they do, and I'm not gonna pull a Katy Perry, and I'm gonna do something new and fresh. So thank you guys so much for being part of that journey and being a witness for my artist development in public. I've really been enjoying creating some transparency in this insane and crazy industry, and I also just want to share like a tiny sliver of what artists go through in this day and age in this industry. Lord help us all. It's healing for me to share with you some of the lessons and experiences I've learned and had, and hopefully this can help you too. I was deeply shook by my dreams being crushed by my true idol, but you know, as Katy Perry says, karma's a bitch, and she keeps receipts.